my pleasure to introduce you to the 20th West Point Diversity and Inclusion Leadership Conference. We had the great weather here, which is just for you visiting from West Point. Who is visiting West Point for the first time? How many of you this is your first West Point Diversity Conference? Wow, thank you. We set record attendance this year. We have over 400 registered to join us for the next 2 days. My name is Lisa Benitez. I have the distinct honor to serve as West Point's Chief Diversity Officer in the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equal Opportunity. Participation is fluid, so take the opportunity to meet people when you can because they may not be here for both days. The theme of this year's conference is Shaping Tomorrow's Defense, the intersection of diversity, innovation, and national defense. General Reeves, full transparency, I acknowledge that this theme was generated by ChatGPT. I do not know how to use ChatGPT. That probably should have been a workshop session. Yeah, during a collaborative session with Colonel Swain. He shared some options, and we really like this option. The primary purpose of this conference is to bring our West Point community, our cadet staff and faculty, West Point alumni, government officials, cadet midshipmen from our service academies, senior leaders in DoD, Army, Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and Coast Guard, and nationally recognized diversity inclusion professionals together to discuss best practices on developing inclusive leaders and how to leverage their talent to enhance collaboration, communication, engagement, and innovation within their organizations. I would like to acknowledge and welcome several distinguished guests joining us this morning. First, from our West Point leader team, our 61st Superintendent, Lieutenant General Steve Gilland. Our 81st Commandant Corps Cadets, Brigadier General Lori Robinson, Class of 94. Our 15th Dean of the Academic Board, Brigadier General Shane Reeves, Class of 96. I'm not sure if Mr. Buddy was able to join us this morning, but Mr. Buddy, our West Point Athletic Director, Dr. Jeff Peterson, USMA Class of 87, the Senior Advisor for Character Integration. Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army for Manpower and Reserve Affairs, Ms. Yvette Busico. USMA's Distinguished Chair for Innovation and Strategic Engagement and CASA for the Texas Capital Region, Mr. Abdul Subani. Commandant of the Royal Military College in Kingston, Canada, Brigadier General Pasquale Cadbu. Deputy to the Commanding General, U.S. Army Futures Command, Dr. Eric Moore. Executive Director, DEI at Veterans Health Administration, Mr. Terry Albritton. Vice Chairman and Board of Directors of West Point Association graduates, Mr. Herman Bowles, Class of 78. Our President and CEO of West Point Association graduates, Mr. Mark Beeger, Class of 1991. Will the members of the West Point Association graduates of Diversity and Inclusion Committee, Sally Lewis, Class of 90, is the chair, Archie Elam, Class of 76, Major retired Pat Locke, Class of 80, Casey Brown, Class of 69, Dominique Braggs, Class of 94, Lieutenant Colonel Rance Lee, Class of 97, and Terrence Sigfield, Class of 1999. We also want to welcome our service academy, our sister service academy, cadet staff and faculty who are joining us from Air Force Academy and Coast Guard Academy. Thank you for joining us. Real quickly, my team and team, starting with Mr. Austin Hunt, the USMA Conference Conference Support Manager at the West Point Association of Graduates, and his team for supporting the planning, coordination, and execution of this conference. I would also like to thank our ODIO team, Mr. Maldonado, Ms. Alice Vargas, Lieutenant Colonel Todd Addison, Master Sergeant Miller, Sergeant First Class coaches, and also Professor Keisha Harmon, who's the Associate Dean for DEI. She's also the Deputy Director of our Excel program, and she's also a professor in constitutional law. Is Ms. Harmon here? Yes. Lisa Gomez from our library exhibit. There's a wonderful exhibit there during our breaks. Please go over there and see. This is just one of the many things that our library produces on a weekly basis. So thank you, Lisa. And of course, our West Point Club staff who's giving us the food and drinks today, and our bios team. If you require any assistance during conference, the ODIO staff and AOG conference support team will help you. At this time, I really kind of going off script and want to recognize someone special to many of us. For some of you, this may be your last time you'll see my friend Bo from the bios team, as he's planning to retire in January. So Bo, I just wanted to thank you for your support. As we kick off our conference, please keep in mind these 3 rules of inclusive leadership. Get out of your comfort zone, respect each other's perspective, leverage the knowledge, skills, and experiences of others, because we are better, smarter, and stronger together. Before you hear from General Gilland and our leader team, I have a few administrative remarks. Please silence your phones. If we hear your phones, you're going to do some burpees. Please use the microphone during the Q&A portion so your questions are heard by all. And if you must leave the ballroom during the session, please do so quietly. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce West Point's 61st Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Lieutenant General Steve Gilland, class of '90.
Okay, all right, I'm on here. Bo got me hooked up. But Bo thinks he's got like 36 years here. He thinks he's retiring. He hasn't done and signed off on that. So, good morning and welcome to everybody. It's great to have you here. Lisa has gone down really an incredible lineup of folks that are here and have joined us, and will come in throughout the day tonight for the reception, and then for tomorrow's events also. It's a pretty exciting day when I think about it, and we look around at really all of our teammates that are here. Ma'am, it's great to have you here. All right, Ms. Buzico right here. We've worked together over the past year plus. She's helped me out of some sticky situations in the Pentagon. So I got to make sure I'm straight. There's no doubt about that. As I look around, there's a bunch of folks I've seen here before, and then there's many more who I haven't. For those of you for your first time here at West Point, welcome to West Point. Understand it's the oldest continuously serving Army garrison in the United States Army, dating back to January of 1778. All right, when you think about it, Washington's colonists who had came to the United States from all over Europe, they crossed the Hudson right up here at Constitution Island. It was frozen solid, and they came across here and established this garrison as we think about the fight for independence. So there's a lot of history here. Despite the rain this morning, I would ask all of you, if you haven't been here before, it's supposed to clear up this afternoon. In between, when you get a chance, check this place out. It is pretty neat. I discover things all the time with regards to history that by just walking around and seeing stuff inscribed on different walls and such. And I will tell you, it's an opportunity to learn, is what it is. All right, so we are talking about, and I'm going to bring up the team from West Point up here as we talk about our topic today with really how diversity, and we think about how important, how critical it is not only to our United States Military Academy, to our military, to our nation. We think about what diversity is, broad spectrum of different thoughts, ideas. We think about, and that goes from backgrounds, upbringings, values, experiences, respective expertise in different studies of discipline, fields of study, all right, which we try here very deliberately to get a very broad spectrum of that because it matters as we think about how we are developing leaders of character at the United States Military Academy, which is our number one, that's our mission, all right? When we think about it, we are to deliver leaders of character to you as citizens of our nation, to lead our Army and lead our nation, all right? And then as we think about inclusion, as this leader conference has come together, I mean, that's making sure everybody's on the team. And it's not just being a part of the team, but it's a contributing member of the team. And what that means, again, by having diversity of thoughts, skills, experience, upbringings, values, expertise, and the power of what that brings to our team specifically. And I'm fortunate to have a pretty dang good, pretty powerful team. All right, so first I got CSM Phil Baretto. All right, he comes from Hawaii. He's been in the Army for like, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. And they advance him really quickly because he's so good. And the good thing for me is that him and I served together previously, so he knows all of my idiosyncrasies and where I need people to help me out. Okay, all of them. That's right. Okay. We've got, as I'm coming across here, we've got the 15th Dean of the Academic Board. All right, so some of you are probably wondering about these whole numbers thing, right? So here's the thing. The deans, all right, for whatever reason, there's only been 15 of them because they just grow old here and they stay forever, it seems like. However, all right, however, Shane Reeves during his appointment, he's the youngest dean in the history of the United States Military Academy.
That's pretty sad if you look at it.
I know. Okay, 80th Commandant of Cadets, all right, Lori Robinson. So the 80th, you're probably wondering, all right, there's 61 Supes. There's the 80th Commandant of Cadets. You all can sit down. I mean, that's because all of our commandants come in, and here's the deal. All of our commandants are really good. And so they turn over really fast because the Army's like, hey, you do this touch and go at West Point, you get some different experiences, and then we want you going and commanding and doing stuff because there's bigger and better things for them out there in the Army. That's why there's so many of them, and Lori's our 80th comm, and she's an aviator, and we're incredibly proud to have her here. And then CSM Robert Craven right here, the USCC CSM. All right, he hails from Louisiana. I only bring that up because our football team's going down there this weekend. And he's wearing Louisiana Spirit gear underneath his uniform. So it's like, hey, like wait a second, if you get shook down, all right, like you got to have some West Point garb on you. He thinks that's what's gonna, it's gonna get him out if he's speeding or something like that down here. But this is our West Point leader team, and we've got a bunch of other folks that are out there. But we're the ones that are gonna, give you some of our thoughts today. And or this morning, take some questions and answers. But as I go back to my intro on what it matters here, and I don't know anybody, believe me, if you weren't watching this summer. So I had a little bit of testimony before Congress this summer. Anybody familiar with that by chance? Some of you might be. Look, if you're not, don't worry about it. Okay. All right. The bloopers reel is probably more entertaining from it. However, so some of a lot of the discussion was with regards to diversity and with regards to our missions and why it's so important. And I will tell you, and as I told Congress, I mean, it's incredibly important for the United States Military Academy and our Army, because when we think about who our Army represents, which is the citizens of our nation, which is our entire population. And we look at our goal here at the United States Military Academy is that when we graduate, our graduates are representative of our Army. That's important as we think about going forward, because, and I'm not going to talk about recruiting at this time, but again, our Army, we pull from across the nation. Young men and women serve our military from all over really all over the world. And we've got to make sure that we are representative of our nation. And that is, I mean, that's vitally important as we think about what we ask the young men and women of our military to do, or potentially do. If we have to, when we have to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and the adversaries that are out there currently in the global landscape. And we've always got to keep that in the back of our mind. That is vitally important for what we do here as we develop leaders of character and deliver them to our Army and really to you all as stakeholders, respectively, in the United States Military Academy and our Army. All right? It's great to have you all here. I really appreciate you coming. It's going to be exciting. You're going to have fun. Get around, talk. So we got a whole bunch. We got some displays. We got experts from around the area here. We also have some people who've been here repeatedly for a long time. I look at Miss Pat Locke right over here. She was mentioned. So, I mean, this gal, original class of 1980, original class of women that graduated from the United States Military Academy. She's a hero of mine. She does boot camps. She gets people ready to come here, young people, older people. I tell you what, I mean, again, an inspiration to all. Appreciate you being here, ma'am. There's no doubt about that. And our AOG team that really helped put this together, I can't thank them enough. Sally, where you at? All right, right here. Miss Sally, we're classmates. She's doing a heck of a lot better in life than I am. There's no doubt about that. But thanks, Sally, for being here. I see Nora, another classmate back here. I really appreciate it. All right, I see some others, and it's good to have you all here as we go through this. Okay, I can feel the energy coming from you, so I don't want to bring it down at this point. I'm gonna turn it over to the team real quick here. All right, CSM.
Sir, thank you. But just thanks for everybody being here. I'm looking out in the crowd and I just totally see nothing more than the diverse background over here. Everyone from all over the world. And thanks for what everyone does. I am not a graduate here, but I'm a sergeant major. Huh? How about that? So I'm born and raised from Hawaii. My last name is Portuguese, but I'm Hawaiian descent. My mother is Hawaiian, 100% Hawaiian. And you know, the lineage goes up. I just wanted to tell you a quick story. So we just find out my family is continuing to dig on where we're from, where I'm from. And we made it to 1776 in Hawaii, and 6 generations. So my grandfather's grandfather was a wanted man in Hawaii. Like, whoa! His name was Jack Calaveral. So, going further, he was wanted because of leprosy. If you guys remember, back in the islands, leprosy came aboard and they started to seclude everyone. But he didn't have leprosy, right? He was born with a skin rash on his, not a rash, but a mark on his face, which translated to everyone that he had leprosy. So he was a wanted man. Lived in the woods, came back to his wife, had 8 kids, went back to the woods because they was wanted. but that's where I'm from. Just for a little context where I'm coming from. And Hawaii, you know, we like to call it the melting pot of the United States. If you guys ever been there, you'll see the entire diverse background from where I'm from. And as we all know, the strength of our Army, of our military service, is the diversity of background, our experiences, our knowledge, where we came from, and the barriers that, you know, all people have had to go in and knock down every day. So, you know, our Army, our services is fully on board. You know, some of our, you know, our leading soldiers, I like to say it all the time, from Hawaii, you know, there's 42 Medal of Honors from Hawaii. If anybody heard of the 4-4 Deuce? Everybody heard of the 4-4 Deuce? I mean, what a great organization. And the things that they fought for to continue, and fought for our nation's wars, and did very good at it. One of them is Senator Inouye. I know he passed away, one of our warriors out there. And then last but not least, we must leverage our diversity backgrounds. Being a soldier, growing up in our Army, our diversity is what makes us stronger every day. No matter where you came from, what do you believe in, it's our diversity that continues to make us strong and only going to get stronger. I hope they're listening, but Russia and China, they better watch out.
So good morning. As stated, I'm the Dean. My name is Brigadier General Shane Reeves. All I heard the soup say on all that was like, Deans get old and wash out and comms go far and fast. That's what I got from all that. Like, John Glory, and I hope I can hold it together for another year or two. Hey, so I'm from Wyoming, and unlike Hawaii, which is a melting pot, the fact that I'm here means there's nobody else in Wyoming right now except my mom and my sister. It is not a melting pot. I got 5 people, and I'm one of them. Hey, this is one of my favorite conferences of the year. Absolutely. I get to see so many people, so many places, so many friends, classmates. See Terry Albright every year. Whenever I get to see Terry, that's nice. But I gotta be honest, that's not really why. This is the kickoff of pumpkin spice latte season 2 days ago. That's what I care about, that's what I like. And I know Winston Williams back there. What do you have in your hand, I bet, Winston? Pumpkin spice latte. Now, back to that whole China-Russia thing, they're not scared now, Winston. Hey, I really am excited to have a few moments to talk, and I will be very quick so we can take some questions. But as Lisa laid out, the academic year theme this year is Innovation, Technology in the Future of National Defense, and there's this great connection between innovation and diversity. And so I just want to take a few moments to talk about why. So innovation in itself is not encapsulated in a single discipline or through a single perspective or through a single approach. Innovation is an interdisciplinary, really transdisciplinary approach to problem solving. We don't solve problems in a myopic way any longer. We can't. We have to step up and look across disciplines, which means we have to look across people. And we need all people to come together to help us have innovative approaches to some of the problems that we're facing. A lot of times when you think about innovation, you think tech, quantum computing, AI, but innovation is actually something different. It's organizational, it's procedural, it's legal, it has all types of different things, and it's all interconnected, and that interconnectedness only can come through having a broad range of perspectives and different approaches to problem solving, which means that the most important thing when it comes to innovation is the human element. Really what you're looking for is a particular type of leader. We're trying to develop a certain type of leader that has that innovative, creative, entrepreneurial mindset. And what that means is we need someone who is not risk adverse, who can mitigate risk, who's someone who's humble, but also going to be think broadly and be willing to listen to all perspectives. And so you'll hear me talk about this a lot when we talk about teaching cadets. We don't intellectually coddle cadets. We don't hide from a single topic. We talk about everything. You pick a topic, we're going to talk about it because it's important for them to be able to think broadly. Innovation or problem solving cannot come through one approach or one discipline. And so we need our cadets to be able to be pushed in the classroom as we do in all other areas. And that pushing comes oftentimes through making them uncomfortable. And that uncomfortability can be challenging assumptions, challenging things that they think they know. And oftentimes that means we're trying to move them from being binary thinkers into something more sophisticated. You can take into account all types of perspectives and think on a spectrum. And in doing that, we become a much more powerful Army and nation. And so I'm happy to answer any questions. I only had a few minutes, but really excited to have all of you here. And thanks for being with us this morning. Go through this.
Good morning. I'm Brigadier General Lloyd Robinson, and I hail from the great state of New Jersey, which is not Hawaii. And I don't really want to know my family's background, probably. But I am, again, welcome to West Point, and great to have you here. I'm just glad the soup didn't talk about how old I was, like the dean, so, although I'm probably older. As the dean talked a little bit about tying how diversity and innovation tie, my thought this morning is how we tie inclusion to national defense. Because the reality is we will never fight alone, in anything that we do as the United States of America. And in my last tour to Afghanistan in 2019, I had the opportunity to serve at the Resolute Support Headquarters in Kabul, and that was alongside 38 of our NATO partners. And so as we think about inclusion within our own force, and we focus on those things today, You know, it is wider than that. And because other nations look to the United States and to our military as an example of how we do that and how they bring together. But the reality is we will never fight alone. And so it's important that we have these discussions and understand so that as we do look to national defense and our national security, it is always with our partners and allies who will always bring different perspectives and different backgrounds to those fights as well. And so as I think about you know, the development of the cadets here and why it's so important to start developing inclusive leaders from the onset, it is because, and I often share, you know, with the cadets here, everyone has a different story that brought them here. You know, that's the first story of their life. And so just take a minute and get to know someone else's story. And it's going to open your eyes to some background, some thoughts, some perspectives that maybe you know you didn't consider here. But if you do that, and then you continue to do that as a platoon leader and as a commander, and in other roles that you have, it'll just be habit. That the first thing you do as you meet other people inside of your organization is to ask about their story and what brought them here. Because again, what may be innovative to one person may just be a different perspective to another. But if we take the time to listen to those, then I think that brings everyone's thoughts, and that allows us to communicate better, to collaborate better, and to see those things. Because we develop relationships in periods of calm, just like this conference today, so that in times of crisis we can have hard discussions if we need to have them. And we're not meeting those people and learning their perspectives for the first time. So again, welcome to West Point, and happy to have all you here. Thank you.
So my name is Robert Craven. I'm from Southwest Louisiana, and I am not a graduate of the United States Military Academy. But I've been a consumer of the West Point product for 28 years. And here's what I will tell you. I read one of the themes were conversations, not confrontations. Here's my opinion. A good conversation sometimes feels like a confrontation. And I will tell you that the reason why NCOs are here at this institution is because we owe unadulterated feedback to young commissioned officers who will no doubt lead the sons and daughters of America, who will no doubt lay down their lives for them. You have to know where I'm from. You have to know my story. You have to know that in 1995, I walked into the 101st Airborne Division, and as light-skinned as I am, I walk in, and everyone can see my demographics, and my first sergeant says, "You know, Craven, I didn't know you was black until you started talking." Let's have conversations this morning. That's what this is about, right? And I will be respectful, but I won't be fake. Because one thing that I owe these lieutenants is an understanding of how they are to navigate the landscape in front of them. And it ain't easy, man. And I love the D. But sir, there is not one book in your library that can prepare these men and women for the things that they're about to walk into. I'm just being real with you. Emotional intelligence, empathy, all the buzzwords that people think make us weak, I say make us strong. I'll tell you one word I hate, and I'll go there. It's woke. And I've walked all around the world in these institutions, and I hear this word. First of all, you don't want me to tell you what I think it really means, but second of all, I will tell you that it's sickening. It's sickening to see that we would allow to project a title like that onto men and women who will absolutely lead the sons and daughters of our nation. There's a lot of adjectives I could use to describe West Point. My brothers and sisters, woke is not one of them. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. But what I'm telling you is it breaks my heart that all the good things that these young cadets do get hijacked into a narrative of things that get taken to a different level. And I'll digress on that because I realize I'm pushing a hot button issue. But guess what? Comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for this. My retirement package is in. I probably won't. But I'll be honest with you. I'm not trying to be, let's be real about it. We're going to have a conversation. We can have rules of engagements, but we can't be fake. You see, people want candor until it's time to be candid. We all want unadulterated feedback until that feedback is directed at us. And I've been there. They say feedback is a gift, then receive it. I mean, are we really trying to change behavior so that our Army can become strong? Again, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent. I'm excited to be here. I hope I didn't dampen the mood out here. But I'm passionate about it for a lot of obvious reasons, right? And I got stories for days because I think the best of our Army is still in front of us. And in my opinion, there's no doubt the people that will change the trajectory of our Army are sitting inside West Point right now. And we owe them our feedback. So God bless each and every one of you. Super, I'll report to the office later.
All right, questions? You're on, right here. Air Force Academy, it looks like.
Good morning. C2C Kelsey Monaghan-Bergson from the Air Force Academy. How do you recommend that we capitalize on our uniquely American strength and diversity to outthink, outcompete, and out-innovate our adversaries while illustrating the direct tie to our strategic objectives and operational imperatives?
That sounds like a deep question.
Kelsey might do good to be there. Every year Kelsey does this.
So I will offer up while the dean is thinking of a. All right, I'll offer up it's simple math. Okay, and when we think about deterrence, we think about the adversaries that are out there. We think about deterrence specifically. We've got to be able to outthink. We've got to be able to outmatch our adversaries because when you really think about it, we're not going to be able to outshoot them. Okay, I mean that's the simple math aspect of it. And where does it come? Because if we have to, but we've got to make sure that we leverage the power of everybody so that we are in a position where we're not having to do that. And there's different phases that we go through, and it's about, I think about you, you're gonna go be a F-22 or F-35 pilot probably, right? That's out there, you're gonna be by yourself, flying, in the skies, and guess what? You've got to be able to outthink the adversary that's going to try to potentially put you in a position to initiate something. Okay, you and your teammate, and I think of that because there's no one telling you what you're going to do out there. There's no one saying this is what you're supposed to do. You've got to be able to outthink that person. And when I think about for our Army, our lieutenants, and it's not just respectively within, it's across all of our branches, it's not just the combat arms branches. When we think about where we're at and the reliance on technology, and what's the first thing that goes away in time of war? The technology will get shut down. It absolutely will. And they've got to be able to think out there, cut off, potentially from their higher headquarters, and higher headquarters not just being a company commander, but potentially the battalion commander. And what do they know? They got to be able to, hey, what's the team on my left and right there? And how are we going to win if we have to? Or if we're in that position, how are we going to do that? So, Dean, I don't know if you prepared it.
So I came in this morning, I walked in, I saw Kelsey, I'm like, oh my God. Here we go. It's going to be some ridiculously awesome question. Thanks, Kelsey. Hey, so I would just echo what the superintendent said. So our great advantage is going to be outthinking our enemies, right? And so much of that is about recognizing some of our disadvantages, which could potentially be economic and demographic disadvantages. We're going to be expeditionary. We're going to have to be fighting perhaps against a nation state that has internal lines of communication and logistics. And so how do we overcome that? What's our asymmetric advantage? And it's our diverse teams. Because innovation is not, it's not solved in one iteration, it's iterative. And so that thing you said, that uniquely American way of thinking, when we can bring everyone together, that's our power, because we experiment and then we challenge each other, and then in this iterative process we get to a solution, which is what is going to help us win, which gets right to the national security component of your question, which is that is our great advantage. That's how we'll overcome some of those perceived disadvantages. And so I think really we talk about diversity and its connection to innovation. That's how we get to it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Carl Owens. I'm a graduate of class of 1978 from the state of Alabama. I mentioned my state of Alabama because I'd like to know what the Academy is trying to do to expand the narrative about affirmative action beyond just race and ethnicity and gender. Primarily because the Academy selection process and the nomination process in itself is an affirmative action that brings to make sure that this country's military is diverse in its representation, both geographic and background. If we tell that story and move it away from ethnicity, people understand how it enhances our national security. It goes back to even the benefits of the draft, even though when people talk a lot about the disadvantages of even the involuntary draft, it did create a melting pot where we brought people from all different types of backgrounds that really strengthened us. And I think we need to tell the story, and I'd like to know what the Academy is doing to broaden that discussion.
Yes, sir. Sir. So, and Rance, you're talking later. I've got Rance Lee, our director of admissions, right here. All right. And so, sir, you're absolutely right. It's not just race and gender. And we think about, and I look at the military academy, and what we are fortunate to have is that we've got representation from all 50 states. We've got representation from around the world. And when we talk about advancing the narrative, I'm really looking for help, because it's our community leaders, it's school superintendents, it's counselors, it's principals, it's people within the community who identify those young men and women to say, hey, you've got what it takes. You've got the talent. You've got the capabilities to go to one of our service academies, and I say one of them, not just here at West Point. And how that feeds in is that through the nomination process, of which approximately 85% of our nominations come from our congressional representatives, senators, the Senate and the House of Representatives, and how they go through that. So there's really incredible opportunity there, and how we put people into that nomination process. Here's one thing I'd also offer up, sir, because it's something that I've seen. We tend to look, when you think about those folks that are out there in these communities, they tend to look at scores, and it comes back to telling the story. I've seen it where a young man or woman has got 750s on the SAT, 35s and 36s on the SAT,